Well, hello everyone, my name is Zwigo and welcome back to another video. Today I will be stepping into the shoes of one of our main rivals, that being Wally. Wally is a very shy kid and he starts off as a pretty bad trainer with only a route. But as he continues through his journey, he captures some amazing Pokemon and he also makes some great friends along the way, like Brendan and May. But I was wondering, how would Wally's team actually compare to the whole game of Pokemon Sapphire? Is he going to struggle a lot, or is this just going to be a cakewalk? Well, his team consists of a Gardevoir, an Altaria, a Magneton, a Roselia, and a Delcatty, which to be fair isn't half bad. They all get access to some great moves and they have pretty decent stats. But I'm going to make this challenge harder by not being able to exceed level 50. Now of course we also have some other ground rules like no items in battle, no cheats, and I will be able to use a Chim Pokemon. Now I want to do one last announcement. I have enabled memberships on the channel. So if you want to support the channel and become a member, there are 4 ranks: Mudkip, Marshtomb, Swampert, and Mega Swampert. Every tier gets you a couple of nice perks. For example, the Mudkip tier gets you some very cool emotes and loyalty badges which you can use in chat. You also get a Discord rank and you get to claim a Pokemon name in one of my live streams. So if you want to join up, you can click the link in the description or you can click the join button next to the subscribe button. With that out of the way, we can finally start our run. We name ourselves Wally because that's the character that we will be playing in this run. I then change my starter to Ralts and immediately see that it has not got any attacking moves, so I'm going to have to struggle my way up to level 6 so that I learn Confusion. After killing the whole Wurmple population, my Ralts eventually learned Confusion, so now we can progress further into the game. I gave May Mudkip so that we could at least see the little bastard. The first rival fight was a joke because Confusion is a pretty powerful move to have early on in the game. After that, Wally helped Wally to get another Ralts even though we already have one. Then I go past Rustboro City to capture myself my second team member, Skitty, which I name Mittens. And then it was time to take on the gym. Of course, Roxanne has her nose pass, which has pretty decent special defense, so I have a hard time breaking through that. And Ralts is a very frail Pokemon, so it can't take too many hits as well. And Skitty actually isn't useless in this fight because it has Growl, which means that it can lower the nose pass's attack, and then I can go into my Ralts, and then it will be able to take more hits. So eventually, after reaching level 19, I was finally able to take down Roxanne. Her first Pokemon, Geodude, is an easy 2-shot with Confusion, even though that we did get hit with a Rock Throw. Then I switch into Skitty to start setting up all of my Growls. Luckily the Nose Pass kept on spamming hard and so I could get all 6 of my Growls off until my Skitty eventually went down. Then I switched into Ralts and after spamming Confusion like 5 times, I eventually took down the Nose Pass and I got my first Gym Badge. After the gym, I leveled up my Ralts one more level to evolve it into Curlia, which is a big upgrade. I went through the Dewford Cave to give the letter to Steven, you know how that goes, and I made my way to Brawly's gym, which shouldn't be a problem with Curlia. Well, his first Pokemon matchup wasn't even able to get a move off on me because he just used Bulk Up and then the second Confusion took him out. And Makuhita was basically the same as matchup. He also couldn't touch me because he just used Bulk Up on turn 1, and I easily won my second gym badge that way. Team Aqua went on a school trip to the museum and they were pretty damn loud, so I had to get them out of there. And then it was time for the almighty rival fight with May. This rival fight wasn't the easiest fight I've ever had because this Marshtomp could take out my Curlia in 1 shot and Skitty in 2, so I had to rely on strategies like Attract and Sing. Anyway, her first Pokemon, Shroomish, was a pretty damn pain in the butt because it always used Stun Spore combined with Leech Seed, which took a little bit of my health each turn. Eventually, I did set up 2 Calm Minds and took it down. Then the Numel came out, but my Curlia wasn't strong enough to take that thing down as well, so I had to go into Skitty. I just double slapped it once and it was down. Then the Marshtomp came out, I used Attract to try and make the Marshtomp miss his moves. After that, I put it to sleep and I started double slapping away. He did get 2 attacks off, leaving with only 8 HP, but I managed to take him down. Now I can capture another member of the team, which is Roselia, and I name it Thorny. After that, we have a rival fight against ourselves, but we have a level 16 Ralts, which my Roselia can easily take down. As always, Watson is a real pain in the ass. Even though in this game he doesn't have his Manectric, it still isn't easy to take him down. With the first Pokemon being Magnemite, there were only a few things that I could do to take it down, and that were using Stun Spore with Roselia and also setting up a Leech Seed, and then spamming Absorb to get my health back. Eventually, after like 2 minutes, I finally took down the Magnemite, with enough chip damage of course. And with Voltorb, I just used the same strategy again, Stun Spore, then Leech Seed, then spamming Absorb. Last up was Magneton, and by now you know the drill. I set up my Leech Seed, set up my Stun Spore, and start absorbing. Even though this thing had Sonic Boom, which does a set 20 damage, he got paralyzed more than enough, and he also used Shockwave a few times, which barely did any damage. After doing about 10 minutes of chip damage, the Magneton went down and we won our 3rd gym badge. After then running through the ashes of the volcano, which almost gave me a very bad cough, I reached the next city and went to the route under that to capture a Swablu. Of course, there's only one name that Swablu can have, which is Cloud. I then decided that it was enough with these ashes, so I went to the volcano to try and calm it down, but Archie was there doing some shenanigans like always. With this first Pokemon being Mightyena, I decided to lead off with Skitty, but that wasn't the best idea ever because I kept on trying to put it to sleep with Sing, and eventually that became my death. So I threw out my Roselia and Leech Seeded it and then took it down with a Magical Leaf. After leveling up, I also learned Grass Whistle, which is going to be very useful to put Pokemon asleep. With the next Pokemon being Golbat, I knew that I had to switch into Kirlia and go for a Psychic, which sadly enough didn't take it out. Then he used Wing Attack, which did some decent damage but didn't quite bring me down into half health. I then decided to use Confusion because I knew that it would take it out from this range as well, but he used a Super Potion, so I had to use Confusion twice more to take it out. The last Pokemon was Sharpedo, and I knew that Roselia was easily going to take it down with a single Magical Leaf, and that's what we did. After that, I decided to take on Flannery's gym without any more grinding, which didn't go too well. I always decided to start off with my Kirlia so that I could set up a load of Calm Minds, but the problem was that the Slugwa always set up a Light Screen. So even though I had like +4 in special attack, the Light Screen would still block a load of damage. But even though that the Light Screen was up, I was still able to take down the first 2 Slugwas with a single Psychic. And then the Torkoal came out, who is of course very bulky. So with a few Calm Minds set up, I decided to stay in with Kirlia and go for Psychic, which did some great damage actually. But still, I wasn't able to one-shot the Torkoal, so he took me down with a Body Slam. So I thought that Skitty would be able to do some decent damage after I put it to sleep with a Sing of course, but I missed my Sing and he took me down with a single Overheat. I then tried again with my Swablu to put it to sleep, and this time it did work. Then I switched into my Roselia, put a Leech Seed on him, and then hit him with a Magical Leaf, and the Leech Seed damage did take him out to win ourselves the 4th gym badge. Then I grabbed the Claw Fossil in the desert and also leveled up my Kirlia 1 more level so that it would evolve into a Gardevoir. With my new waifu Pokemon, I decided to beat up my dad, which to be honest didn't go that great. The biggest problem is that my Gardevoir takes the ability of the Pokemon that it's facing, so if it's facing a Slacking, it will gain the Truant ability, which is very bad. So I can only switch in Gardevoir when he sends out his Vigoroth. But most of my Pokemon aren't able to take down the first Slacking, even though Skitty does do a pretty decent job together with Roselia. But I know that with this team, it was going to be way too hard, so I decided to head to Fiery Path and grind up my Swablu over there so that he would evolve into an Altaria, which took quite a while, since the only good move it learns is Takedown, and that does recoil damage, so I killed myself a lot of times. But eventually, he did evolve into a majestic big cloud bird. And then I went back to give my dad the ass whooping he deserved. And this time it wasn't that hard to beat him. I decided to start off with Altaria and put his first Slacken to sleep with Sing. Then I brought him into red health by using Dragon Breath a bunch of times. He healed up and woke up as well. He hit me with a Facade, but a few more Dragon Breaths did take him out. Now the next Pokemon was Vigoroth, so I went into Roselia and decided to not set up a Leech Seed and just next decided to hit it with a few magical leaves. It didn't do enough damage, so my Roselia eventually did go down, so I had to go into Gardevoir after that. And he managed to finish off the Vigoroth with a single Psychic, and last up was his second Slacking. But it outsped my Gardevoir and took me down with a Feint Attack, so I had to go into Mittens and I put it to sleep with Sing. Then I also used Attract on it and started hitting it with Cavette, but I didn't do enough damage, so he took me down with a Facade and I had to switch into my last hope, Altaria. And I got lucky because my first Dragon Breath did paralyze him, and then I was able to take him down with 2 more and get ourselves the 5th gym badge. Then I decided to help out Watson and got myself a Magnemite in New Mauville. Magnemite is also the last team member that we can catch, so this is the final team, except we can still evolve Skitty and Magnemite. Then I decided to evolve Skitty because it really didn't have any good stats at the moment, so Delcatty hopefully will make up for that. And of course, after clearing the Weather Institute, we have to do another rival fight. For some reason I led with Magnemite even though that she led with Shroomish, but it was no problem because Thunderbolt did very decent damage and Shroomish really couldn't touch us. Marshtomp was an easy one-shot with Roselia, and finally was Numel, who also was a one-shot with a magical leaf because we got a critical hit this time. Before I decided to take on the flying type gym, I had to level up Magnemite so that he would evolve into a Magneton. And then, after he evolved, I took on Winona. With her first Pokemon being Swellow, I decided to lead off with Magneton, who easily took it down with a Thunderbolt. Next up was her Altaria, and for some reason I decided to stay with Magneton, and in my mind I thought, this is a good idea. Until Altaria obliterated me with an Earthquake. Then I went to the Gardevoir to set up 2 Calm Minds, and then hit it with a Psychic, which did some decent damage. Then she healed up, I used another Psychic combined with a Confusion to take it out, while we were only left with 5 HP. The next Pokemon was Pelipper, which was an easy one-shot with Psychic, and last up was Skarmory. Even though Psychic was not very effective, it did some great damage, but then a Fury Attack took me down. So I switched into Altaria and started Dragon Breathing it, but it didn't do enough damage to one-shot, so she healed up. I got it back down into red health, but then my Altaria went down. So then Delcatty had to come in and finish it off with 2 Facades, which wasn't too hard to do. 6 gym badges under our belt, only 2 more to go. Then I traveled to Lillicove City to beat my rival one last time. Our first Pokemon was Swellow, and I was stupid not to lead with Magneton, but Delcatty was enough to finish it off with a few Facades, even though it set up a lot of double teams. Next up was Shroomish, and again I didn't switch out, so Delcatty did manage to do some decent damage, but then got taken out by a Mega Drain. So then Cloud had to come in and finish off the Shroomish with an Aerial Ace. Then she thought that Numel was able to take down my Altaria, but she was wrong. 2 Dragon Breaths and the camel was dead. And last was Marshtomp, and again I didn't change into Roselia, so I just took it down with a few more Dragon Breaths. On Mount Pyre there was another colorblind Archie, which took the wrong orb for the 1,000,000th time. Then I cleared out the entire Team Aqua hideout and got myself the Master Ball as well, and head out of there to go ahead and challenge the next gym, which are Tate and Liza. For the Tate and Liza fight, I knew that Gardevoir was going to be a very crucial part, so I decided to lead with it and set up a load of Calm Minds. The second Pokemon I led with was Magneton because I knew that Thunderbolt was going to be doing a lot of damage as well. And I was right, I easily got Solrock down into red health, but then she healed up and my Magneton eventually did go down after I managed to paralyze both of their Pokemon. Then I took down the Solrock together with my Roselia, but she got taken out next turn, so I had to go into Delcatty. I managed to hit it a few times with Feint Attack, but then we also got taken out by a Psychic, so then it was Gardevoir and Altaria. The Altaria managed to do some chip damage, but eventually also got taken out, so my last Pokemon was Gardevoir, but we had a load of Calm Mind set up. The Lunatone also had a load of Calm Mind set up, but because I had Shockwave, I was able to scrape the win here. Then I got myself the Super Rod and captured a Sharpedo because he can learn almost every HM in the game. With this Sharpedo, I managed to dive to the Sleep Floor Cavern and almost stop Maxie from using the wrong orb. His first Pokemon, Mightyena, was very easy to take down with my Magneton because it only took 2 Thunderbolts, even though he used a Super Potion on him. With the next 2 Pokemon both being weak to Thunderbolt, this fight was one of the easiest in the entire game, because Crobat and Sharpedo both got one shot. Come on Kyogre, you know the drill, shoot off into space, ruin the entire planet for a little while, until I come and kill you. After that happened, I went to the Cave of Origins and fought Kyogre with my Magneton, and I was superior because Thunderbolt is way too overpowered in this game, since this game is literally 80% water. And now it's time for the final gym battle of this run against Wallace. With this first Pokemon being Luvdisc, I knew that I had to lead with Magneton and take it out in a single Thunderbolt. Next was Whiscash, and for some reason I didn't switch, so I had to sacrifice Delcatty and then go into Roselia to finish it off with a Magical Leaf. But we were very lucky that Earthquake didn't one-shot because we were left with only 1 HP. The next Pokemon was Celio, so I went back into my Magneton and one-shot it with a Thunderbolt. Then Seeking came out, who hit a Horn Drill and took me down because it's a one-hit KO move. So I had to go into Gardevoir, hit it with a Shockwave, which did some decent damage, but I decided to set up a Calm Mind. And then after I set up the Calm Mind, I took it down with a Shockwave, and next up was Melodic. A Shockwave wasn't enough to take it down into half health, so I had to set up another Calm Mind and then hit it with another Shockwave to win the battle. With our 8 gym badges, we are now able to access the Pokemon League, but before that, we have to fight ourselves. We are at a little bit of a disadvantage because we have the same team as him, but we are way lower level than he is. But then again, we also have better movesets. It starts off Altaria versus Altaria, but his Altaria did some decent damage against mine, so I had to put it to sleep with Sing, and then he switched into Delcatty, which I hit with a Dragon Breath. Then I decided to switch into AI, but I got put to sleep by a Sing, so after a few turns, I eventually managed to take it out with a Thunderbolt. Then it was Altaria versus Altaria again, but she had Natural Cure, which means that upon switching out, she heals status conditions, so we got taken out by a Dragon Breath. So then I had to switch in Gardevoir, set up loads and loads of Calm Minds until I eventually took down the Altaria with 2 of them. And I was only left with 2 HP, and the next Pokemon he sent out was Roselia, who was also an easy one-shot with Psychic. He then came out with his own Magneton, and I decided to stay in, hit it with a Psychic, which did about half health, and that is pretty damn good. So then I went into my Roselia and applied the same strategy as I did with Watson. I just used Leech Seed and spammed Magical Leaf until he eventually went down. Next was Gardevoir, and I was trying to put it to sleep with Grass Whistle, but she outsped and took me down with a Psychic, so I had to go into Delcatty. Then I put it to sleep with Sing, put an Attract on it as well, but it still took me down with a single Psychic. So then at last I switched in my Ace Magneton and took it down with 2 Thunderbolts. Very easy. Now I know that this team isn't going to be able to take on the Elite Four because we are around level 40-ish, which isn't high enough. But since I can't really exceed level 50, I decided to train all of them up to level 45. I thought that was a pretty balanced level. So with my buffed up team, I went to Sydney and took him on. Since he decided to lead with Mightyena, I led with my Magneton, used Thunderbolt, which almost took it out in 1 hit, and a Crunch did some okay damage on me. Then he used a full restore, so I went for another Thunderbolt and then finished it off with a Tri-Attack. Next was a Sharpedo, and he used Surf, which left me with only 1 HP, but a Thunderbolt was able to finish it off in a single hit. Cacturne was an easy one-shot with Aerial Ace from my Altaria. I also managed to get his Absol down to under half health with a Dragon Dance boosted Aerial Ace. But eventually I had to switch in Mittens to use Sing to put the Absol to sleep and then use Facade twice to take it out. Next was Shiftry, and I knew that this thing was going to set up loads of double teams, so I went into Roselia to set up a Toxic so that he would eventually take himself out with that. After stalling a little bit, my Roselia went down and eventually he went down to the Toxic damage. With the first Elite Four member down, it's time to head to my least favorite Elite Four member in this game, Phoebe. Like always, she leads off with her Dusclops, and I decided to lead with Magneton once again. He managed to set up a curse before I took him down with 2 Thunderbolts. The second Dusclops came out and I knew that it had Earthquake, so I switched into Mittens to put it to sleep and do some chip damage with Feint Attack. Eventually Mittens went down, so I used Roselia to put a Leech Seed on him and do some chip damage with Magical Leaf until we eventually went down, but he went down in the same turn by the Leech Seed damage. Next was Banette, so I set up a Dragon Dance with Cloud and took him down with 2 Aerial Aces. The next Pokemon was Sableye, who shared the same fate as the first Banette, but the second Banette did a little bit too much damage on me and took me down, even though that I could still hit it with a fly. Then I tried to go into Gardevoir, but we got one-shot by a Shadow Ball, so Magneton had to finish it off with another Thunderbolt. Next up was Glacia, so I started off with Magneton as she started off with her Glalie. I paralyzed it with a Thunder Wave and then used Supersonic so that it would hit itself more. Then I switched into Gardevoir, used Double Team and Calm Mind a bunch of times until I was set up completely, and then I one-shotted her Glalie and her second Glalie. And also the next 2 Celios. I thought that Walrein was going to be a little bit too thick to take down in a one-shot, but a Shockwave did take it out in a single hit. And just like that, we are at the final Elite Four member, Drake. And here I just applied the same method as I did with Glacia, because I didn't even have any super effective moves and I knew that my team at this level wasn't going to be able to take down the Salamence. So yet again I started to set up my double teams and Calm Minds on the first Pokemon, Shelgon, because he could do the least damage to me. And you know the drill by then, I one-shotted his Shelgon, I then one-shot his Flygon. His Salamence did do some annoying stuff by using Fly all the time, but eventually he did cave in and got one-shot as well. And last up, his second Flygon also went down in a single Psychic. And now it's time for the final battle of this playthrough against Steven Stone himself. Of course, like always, his first Pokemon is a Skarmory, so I decided to lead with Magneton, and even though that we're so many levels lower than it, a single Thunderbolt still takes it out. With his next Pokemon being Aggron, I decided to go into Roselia and put a Leech Seed on him so that I can then switch in my Gardevoir and set up with my Calm Minds and Double Teams again. The only reason that I was able to set up all of my Double Teams and Calm Minds was because of the Leech Seed. He would always bring me down into red health with Earthquake, but then he would miss enough times for the Leech Seed to get all of my HP back. After finally setting up all of my double teams and Calm Minds, I then proceeded to one-shot the Aggron with a Shockwave. Next up was Cradily, who couldn't take a Psychic. Claydol was pretty bulky and he also resisted our Psychic, so he was able to take loads of them, but eventually he did go down. Metagross was also able to tank a Shockwave, but he couldn't hit through my double team, so another one took him out. And last was Armaldo, which just like Cradily couldn't take a single Psychic. And yes, we are champions once again on Pokemon Sapphire, this time as Wally. His team did pretty damn well, not gonna lie, he has a pretty damn decent team. I had so much fun making this video because Wally is one of my favorite rivals out of all of them actually. Even though you only battle him twice, they really made that scene in Pokemon Oras so damn good where you have to fight him in like the flower field. That was amazing. Now, would I recommend doing this challenge? Absolutely. It's very fun to do. Maybe you could even keep his moveset, that would make it a lot harder. Now with that being said, I just want to thank my Patreon and member supporters, Felipe Morla, Miki Googla, and Benatril. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. And as always people, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and share this video with your friends. I'm Zwigo, and I'll see you guys next time.